Here's my larynx. First, I have my trachea. It is a smooth tube with the tracheal rings here in the back. Next, I have this orange portion here is the hyoid bone. It is located at C3, and it is suspended in the thyrohyoid membrane. In the medial portion of that membrane, there's a thickening which creates the thyrohyoid ligament. That is an unpaired ligament. On either side of that membrane, there is again a thickening which causes the paired thyrohyoid ligaments here on either side. Next, I have my epiglottis. It's this red portion here. As you can see, it is a leaf-like shape, and its job is to flap down and protect the airway during swallowing. The bolus will route into the esophagus and not into your lungs. Yes, so the hyoid epiglottic ligament is an unpaired ligament, and it connects the epiglottis to the hyoid bone from the anterior surface of the epiglottis to the upper border of the hyoid bone. Next, we have the quadrangular membrane. These are paired membranes that connect the epiglottis to the thyroid cartilage and the arytenoid cartilage. So it comes down here and connects the epiglottis to the thyroid here, and it also comes down and connects here to the arytenoids. That is the quadrangular membranes. There's thickening in that membrane as well, which creates the thyroid epiglottic ligament. That ligament connects the thyroid to the epiglottis. So the next structure is the thyroid cartilage. This is this pink cartilage here. It is formed by two plates that connect in the center. The center point creates the laryngeal prominence, and that is also known as the Adam's apple. Directly superior to the prominence, the laryngeal prominence, is the thyroid notch. It is this V portion of the thyroid. So anteriorly here in this area is the cricoid membrane. Again, a thickening to create the cricothyroid ligament. And that membrane and ligament connects the thyroid to the cricoid. Okay, so now we can talk about the joints. So inferiorly, this joint here is on either side. It is called the cricothyroid joint, and it connects the thyroid cartilage to the cricoid cartilage. The superior horns here, that attaches to the lateral thyrohyoid ligaments. There's a membrane that is connected here with thickening, and there's a ligament, and that connects the thyroid, the superior horn, to the hyoid. Next, we have the cricoid. As you can see, it is a ring structure. Unlike the thyroid, it is not open in the back. It is closed, a full ring structure. It is higher, taller in the back than it is in the front. The cricoid-arytenoid joint here is where the arytenoid cartilages sit. So next we have the arytenoids. They are these green pyramid structures here. This back part is the muscular process, again on either side. At the very tip on either one there's the apex. The apex also contains a cartilage called the corniculate cartilage. It's shaped like a horn on top of the apex of the arytenoids. And then, let's see if I can, here we go. Okay, so these very inner corners of the arytenoids are the vocal processes. These vocal processes, the vocal folds start here at both processes, and then they connect to just right below that notch, that thyroid notch. They go from the vocal process to the thyroid notch. Of course, the vocal folds contain all kinds of muscles, which I'll get to in a second, which in turn moves these arytenoids to lengthen, shorten, open, close the vocal folds. Okay, so now for the intrinsic muscles. The intrinsic laryngeal muscles. The first one, we have the thyroid arytenoid muscle, which is the bulk of the muscles of the vocal folds. They are paired muscles. They also contain two bundles of muscles. So that first bundle is the thyroid vocalis. Whenever that is contracted, it will draw the cricoid and the thyroid apart, which will tense up the vocal folds. The second bundle of muscles in the thyroid arytenoid muscle is the thyromuscularis. Contraction of that will move the arytenoids forward, which makes them relax and adduct the vocal folds. Adduct the vocal folds. The posterior cricoid muscle, which is the next muscle of the vocal folds, it is located in the back of the vocal folds. It is paired. They are paired muscles. And it is the only abductor muscles, meaning it is the only muscle that causes the vocal folds to open. When contracted, the muscular process moves posteriorly, and the arytenoids pivot laterally. The arytenoids pivot laterally, which opens up the vocal folds and opens up that glottis space. The next muscle is the lateral cricoid arytenoid muscle, which is the direct antagonist to the posterior cricoid arytenoid. So this is a adductor muscles. It brings the vocal folds together. Contraction of this muscle moves the muscular process anteriorly and the arytenoids medially, which then, of course, results in adduction of the vocal folds and closure of the glottis. This also causes the vocal folds to stiffen up. Next is the next muscle is the inner arytenoid muscles. This muscle is located kind of in between the arytenoids. Inner arytenoid, it's in between the arytenoids. Unpaired, these are unpaired muscles, but there are two bundles in this muscle group. One bundle is paired and one bundle is not. So, nonetheless, though, both of the bundles assist in adduction and compression. Compression assists in increasing intensity, So the first bundle is the transverse arytenoid fibers. Those fibers move the body of the arytenoids, the body of the arytenoids together when those are contracted. The second bundle, those are the oblique arytenoids. Those fibers move the apexes together when contracted. The next muscle is the cricothyroid muscle. These are also made up of two different parts, the pars recta and the pars oblique. Both of those parts are vocal fold tensors, which means that it causes the vocal folds to lengthen and elongate. So whenever the pars recta contracts, the thyroid is tilted down. Whenever the pars oblique contracts, the thyroid moves forward. So that was everything. This is one final look at the larynx, up close and personal. All of the things. Okay, next up we have my representative display of the layers of the vocal folds. The first layer here is the epithelium, the outermost layer. For that layer, I used a thin sliver of Play-Doh just because it does a good job of, kind of staying stiff and keeping its shape. So that's really the main reason that I chose the Play-Doh, because it does a good job of keeping its shape. The next layer is the superficial layer of the lamina propria. And for that layer, I chose a slime. So it is very gooey, and it has a gelatin-like structure, which is really the main reason that I chose it for this superficial layer of the lamina propria. Very gelatin-like, gelatinous, I think. Okay, so the next layer is the intermediate layer of the lamina propria. Elastic fibers. These are glued down pretty good, so that I'm not able to pull them very well, but they do have much more give than, say, that vocalis muscle. They are soft. They're made of more of a cloth-like material as opposed to a rubber, which is why I chose them for the intermediate layer of, the lamina propria. The next layer, the deep layer of the lamina propria, I used some cotton. So that is that. The next layer, of course, is the vocalis muscle, which they have all come off, but I chose these. These rubber bands because they have significantly less give than these elastics up here. They're not as soft as these. Less give. Very very stiff rubber bands I have here. So yeah, that is the layers of the vocal folds here. Okay, thank you.